Slavic months. Winter. Winter asserts itself even stronger. It gets dark very early. Increasingly, the ground is covered with a white snow cover. The first frosts have struck. You cannot get outside without wearing a coat and a hat. It is best to stay warm at home at this time, watching the fire in the stove. The ground around the house froze. Our ancestors noticed that the frozen ground becomes solid lumps, just as the tracks on the frozen dirt roads also turn into lumps, grudki. This means that grudzień, December, has come to the Ukrainians, grudzień to the Poles, gruden to the ancient Slovenes. Scribes of ancient Rus also mentioned this name of December in their manuscripts, calling this month either grudina or studina, just as their ancient Bulgarian colleagues. Snow does not just flies here and there, but covers the frozen ground. Noticing this, the Belarusians called the 12th month Śnieżeń, deriving from śnieg, snow. Pure and bright white snow finally enlightens nature after a grey and gloomy November. The Czechs and Croats noticed the way nature brightened, calling December prosinec in Czech and prosinac in Croatian, deriving from the verb prosinuti, that is to brighten, to shine. The ancient Slovenes and Bulgarians believed that the brightening occurs in January, the Slovenian prosinec and the Bulgarian prosinec for January. Although it is believed that the brightening and shining is not only associated with bright white snow, which sparkles in the sunshine, but with the fact that the sun now appears much more often on the frosty sky and stays there longer, because the solstice is over. When the Old East Slavic scribes called January prosinec, they may also have meant the pure blue of the winter sky that is not overshadowed by a single cloud on those frosty days. The winter is reaching its climax. The weather is frosty. People in the houses have to keep warm, otherwise they will freeze to death. It has always been important for Ukrainians to stay comfortable in their homes. So the father of the family goes out to the woods to chop firewood and bring it home. He has to provide warmth for his family during these difficult days. So it was a good reason to call the month of January Siczeń in Ukrainian, when the trees were cut down, siczeni, in the forests, and clearings were made. The Croats named this month similarly, sieczeń. For the Poles, the first month was also sieczeń, but when the New Year's Eve began to be celebrated according to the Gregorian calendar, namely in January, they renamed it to styczeń, that is the month when the new and the old year meet. For the Belarusians, January is primarily marked by its cold weather, studeny. That's why January is studzień in Belarusian. Due to persistent frost, rivers and lakes in January are covered with a thick layer of ice, led, or lid in Ukrainian. The rivers can now be crossed even on foot or on horseback. This was especially important for the Czechs because that's what they called this month, leden. Severe frosts continue in the following month too. Not only that, they even become stronger, harsher, fiercer, luty. This especially bothered Ukrainians, Belarusians and Poles, who called the month of February luty, luty or luty. According to the ancient calendar, it was the last month of the year, followed by spring, and the new year was coming with the spring. The ancient Bulgarians, and then the Rus, sometimes called February sieczeń, because in some lands the trees in the forest began to be cut in February. And in their vernaculars, the Bulgarians and Macedonians affectionately called this month sečko. Maybe they did it to appease February's fierce cold. The Croats finally noticed in February that the days were longer than the nights, and therefore called February Veleća, deriving from ovelitise, to increase, to grow. And the Czechs, for whom ice was important in January, now in February regret that in some water bodies the ice is already cracking and sinking into the water, so they called this month Únor, deriving from nožice, to sink. However, this is only one of the possible explanations. As we see, the Slavs did not and do not have the same names for the months, and these names are often associated with nature and peasants' activities. Become my patron on the Patreon account, and you will discover other exciting things.